This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
A little bit to get through just really quickly. So I want to start with Adam Mears, who is the chef de mission, Natalie, of our Australian Olympic team. 460 athletes over to France this year to compete in the Olympics. It's only a couple of weeks away. There was an interesting thing that happened to their uniforms. They were a bit worried that they weren't going to get their outfits in time. Nath, this is Anna telling us what happened.
Our container ship that was carrying our team kit crashed into another ship near Gibraltar. At one stage was going to cause a 14-day delay. We have had great support logistically to be able to have those uniforms delivered.
Had to get somebody in a speedboat to get over there.
How do you crash? Like a container ship's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's got a haul.
Yeah.
How do you crash into another container ship?
Well, all I know is in Esperance years ago, my friend was on a jet ski. She hired them. You can realize $15 for 15 minutes or something like that.
Value.
Anyway, yeah, it was many, many years ago. And she jumps on there and the entire ocean, she hits the jetty. The entire ocean. And she hit the
And it's only
jetty.
one jetty, and it's not moving.
It was unbelievable.
Like
and we can see her going towards it. It's like a kilometre away. It's like you can see it's there.
Well, there you go. There's a great example.
So anyway, now she drives container ships. So there's your explanation.
Now, let's go to the AFL now. First of all, I just want to let everyone know that Katy Perry will be performing at the AFL Grand Final.
That's a good get.
Yep, so fireworks. It's going to be all happening. It is daytime. So we're not going to have it's not going to be the spectacular it could be as like the Super Bowl does at night time.
Yeah. They've got to get rid of this traditional thing of the daytime and put it at night. The whole thing will have a different feeling. It'll be spectacular.
I agree with you, Nate.
And the NRL Grand Final's held at night, isn't it?
Well, they do this afternoon, late start.
Twilight,
so then when the action's happening, it's all happening.
And do you know what? It's really annoying when you see one of these daytime performances, which should be at night. You can see all the extension cords.
Yes,
You can see everything.
And fireworks just turn into a little puff of smoke.
Yeah,
That's like
it's
daytime
just so
fireworks don't
lame.
work
It's like being at a nightclub during the day.
And
That's
honestly, every grand final performance we've had that's in the day, it looks like a rehearsal for the one that's going to be at night.
It does.
I totally agree. I've got to say though, Nath, when you're in the
world
cult,
of AFL,
the cult of AFL, you're like, I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah.
I vote every year. Daytime grand final. And anyway, when you get out of it, you go, oh, no, that's silly. Why don't we have it at night?
Yeah, that's right. We
That'd be
want the
awesome.
entertainment to be better.
For sure. Now, getting over to AFL 360, which I kind of watch religiously these days, because they really get into the source of breaking up teams and competitions and having a
deep
feel
dive,
for what
isn't
goes
it?
on.
Yeah.
So yesterday, the West Australian had the front page of Simo's wins and losses, and they basically said he was a loser. That's what they said.
Yeah. It was a very negative front page for somebody that had just retired.
To the point where people like Greg Heyer and it was a Masto as well.
Will Schofield.
there's so many.
They all posted a alternate page, which thanked Simo.
And said fixed it for you, West. Yeah.
They did.
It was a bit of a low blow and it was poorly received.
But poorly received, absolutely. But this stuff is a reflection of us as a state, right?
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not. We say that we've got nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
But this is how the people view us around Australia.
100%.
100%. On AFL 360 last night, it's not often that you get fellow journalists looking at what happens in another place or stories written by someone else and really having a crack. But this is Mark Robinson having his say on what the West Australian did last night.
I've been working in newspapers for 40-odd years. Newspapers, they sometimes step over the mark. You know, they overreach, just searching and looking. That there is nothing short of disgraceful, in my opinion. Now, there's people at the West Australian right now thinking, oh, my God, they're all talking about us. This is what we want. Rah, rah, rah. From a journalistic point of view, that is one of the most disgraceful things I've seen in football. He doesn't deserve see a Simo. He deserves thank you, Adam. You know, it went pear-shaped. Actually, you've been coaching terribly and the clubs have been going terribly, but thank you so much. That's Fleet Street, England material, which people giggle about. People are giggling at the West Australian today. Giggling in embarrassment and shame, not giggling and saying, oh, that's funny. Oh, that's smart. The editor or the chief sub or whoever come up with that idea, oh, brilliant. Let's run with that. So I'll get bashed. We'll get bashed because we're in the media and we're bashing other media. But I don't think there'd be too many newspaper people in Australia outside the West Australian who would sit there and say, geez, I'm proud of that front page.
Can I say the West Australian have merged into a world where they want to be the story?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they report on themselves being the story.
Well, today's report
Well,
was.
they did today.
Today's
They've
report
done it
was a
today.
report about, but yet in nowhere in that story, so they've covered every angle, was the angle of why did you do it?
Yeah.
So why did
And
you
also
disrespect him yesterday? What
Admitting
was your
that they
reason?
missed the mark. They missed the mark yesterday.
100%, Natalie.
They
But
didn't
they're
read the
sitting
room.
around, as Robbo said, we're getting talked about.
Congratulating themselves, yeah.
Tap on the back for Nathan for coming up with that idea. Well done, Nat, for
Yeah.
writing that
Yeah.
line. We've got a few more clicks. But Robbo's right. Around Australia, they're giggling at them
Yeah.
for embarrassment.
Yeah, it's just a wanton lack of integrity. I mean, they never
100%.
write about us anyway, so...
Oh, mate, we could literally we could have aliens contact our show today and they wouldn't write about us.
Agreed, Nate. I want to play you one
We
more
don't
bit
care.
that Jared Waitley
Oh, yeah,
said
okay.
afterward, okay? I know this has gone
Good,
for a
no,
while.
we're
but
happy to go.
Here's the point that it could affect teams in WA.
We've seen this progressively over the past 12 months, some of the stuff we put up, which from this side of the country is utterly bewildering. And if it does have a long-term impact on those wanting to be in Perth, then that town will have to own that. They have created this environment for themselves and they clearly revel in it. The football reality inside of that is it's just rotten.
That
It's
is
as bad as I've
rotten.
seen.
Yeah.
So if the Eagles are trying to get people
Yes.
over here, or Fremantle Dockers are trying to get people over, coaches, staff, whatever the case is, they could be front back page for all the wrong
Yes.
reasons. I mean, all the right reasons at times.
But also, it's a point that another side could make against us. So
You wanna be a part of that?
if there's two teams that are bidding for one player, the other team can say, "Hey, have a look at this. This is what they do to the people that come over." And
Harley
you go,
Reid, number
100%.
one. Adam Simpson, number two.
Titus O'Reilly last night had a stat about the back pages of the paper. He said that the Dockers have been on the back page 42 times.
Yep.
This is this year. The Eagles had been on there 43 times, and Harley Reid had been on there standalone 44 times. And you just go, there is something very wrong with that as a media thing. But the problem here in Perth, we're a one-paper town.
Yep.
And so there's no other paper calling them on their shots.
So this is the
there's
thing.
no competition.
So we know what's right and just and what should be happening, but I mean, are they just happy that this is
Yes,
happening right now?
100%.
We're talking about it right now.
Yep.
They're talking about it over. So I think they don't care about any of the other
Yeah.
stuff. They're just we're talking about it.
But shouldn't there be some integrity in what you're doing?
There should be, but we gave
yeah,
that up years ago. Sean, remember when we used to have integrity in our show? It's
No.
exhausting.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see if there is a difference in their sales. If their sales dip because of this sort of stuff, if people
I don't
really
think
do
they
lose
will.
their, if they're not buying the paper anymore, that's what's going to make a difference to them.
Okay.
And then they're going, maybe we have misread the public. But if they're still selling, why would they change?
Yeah, but I
There's
thought
just
that's-
nobody holding them accountable.
I feel like that's why they've changed, because they've come so sensationalised.
Yes.
That
100%.
That's how they're
Yeah,
getting
but
their
if
clicks.
that sensationalism starts to ostracise people,
Yeah.
and they don't buy the paper
Yeah.
anymore, it'll be problematic.
I just feel like anyone that isn't familiar, Google TMZ, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Google the newsroom of TMZ when they're all standing around the water
Yeah.
cooler and they're going, "Hey, what have you got there? Oh, I got Katy
Yeah.
Perry. She fell over in a hedge, and you can
Yes.
see her knickers. Fantastic, run with it. What do you got
Yeah.
there? Oh, let's make them angry." I reckon that's what I see the West as
Yeah.
now, and that's a tabloid website.
Yeah, 100%.
True, mate.
And that's what I think it is over
Yeah,
there.
well said.
Yep,
It should
yep.
be a lot of fun to be around.
And they just got a whole lot of free advertising out of it. Damn it!
I know.
Fell into
This
that
is
trap.
why.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.